You're not gonna believe how easy it is to transport yourself to the south of France with wine. We're gonna do that right now with this wine from Costières de Nîmes. So Costières de Nîmes is another AOC that you can go to whenever you realize that Châteauneuf-du-Pape wines are just too expensive, but you still want that feel of a Grenache, Syrah, Mourvedre blend from Southern Rhône Valley. But when you see Costières de Nîmes on a label, like what does that mean? What is the wine composed of? What may it taste like? What might it feel like in your mouth? This appellation is at the southern tip of the Rhône Valley, and it borders the Languedoc. It was actually part of the Languedoc. It was considered part of the Languedoc, and then until 2004, and then it was transferred to the Rhône Valley. It kind of makes me think of like a free agent in baseball or something like that, where it's like, you know what? I really like what the Rhône Valley is doing, building for their long-term future. So I'm going to sign there as opposed to staying with the Languedoc. I really want to be part of that organization. Was it a free agent situation where they traded? You know, I don't know. We'll end the sports references here. But, you know, hockey season just started. I'm excited. I'm excited. The vines here, they're only about 10, 15 miles from the Mediterranean Sea. And essentially they're like 50-50 on the side of a large hill. So on one side of that hill, vines face the sea. On the other side of the hill, vines face the city of Nimes. And you know, so the region gets a lot of sunshine. It's got a pretty wide diurnal range, so that helps the grapes grow really well. So diurnal range is the difference between the high and low temperature in a day. And when you have a big range, it helps the grapes ripen without getting too ripe and going overboard. Overall, this region is pretty green. It's got a lot of organic and biodynamic producers. So you young kids out there, you millennials and Gen Zers or whatever you are, you really care about the environment, you're gonna wanna try these wines because they're speaking your language. The more I read about the area, and now even just talking about it here, the more I wanna plan a trip here. One last fun fact. Guess where the word denim comes from? It's a contraction of the word denim, as Nîmes was a fabric hub way back when. How about that? So you thought this was a wine video and I just blew your mind with the origins of denim. Hey, that's the type of channel we have here. Now the wines from this appellation are roughly 50% red, 40% rosé, and 10% white. We're focusing on reds today. We're gonna taste this one soon. But I have enjoyed rosés from the appellation on more than one occasion, and they tend to be nice and fruity, and you know, something worth a try as well. Now, since we're in the Rhône Valley, the wines are generally Grenache, Syrah, Mourvedre blends, or at least the red ones are. But like everywhere else in France, right, there are strict rules that you need to understand. So the red wines must include Grenache, Syrah, and Mourvedre. That trio must make up at least 60% of the blend. Carignan and Cinsault can also be used. By putting those grapes in, it gives the winemakers a little more flexibility in some areas in the valley, so that's pretty neat. The wines also must have a minimum alcohol by volume of 11.5%. But for the reds, really, that's not a problem because Grenache is generally a higher alcohol grape, so that's really never in doubt. Stylistically, these wines are fresh, a little lighter, more flavorful, somewhat intense, right? And just fun and real versatile with food. Since the use here of new oak is generally limited, some of the winemakers use stainless steel, concrete vats. You know, you're able to drink these wines with, you know, maybe with a seared tuna without having the wine overwhelm the food. The vast majority of these wines can be had for under $20. So get out and try some. They're a low risk entry, right? They're more interesting than a lot of red blends available from California and may turn out to be your new favorite. Let's taste this one. Let's see what we're getting in this wine. This is the 2020 Domaine de Poulvarel La Gres, red Rhône wine. It is 70% Grenache, 30% Syrah. La Gres, I believe what that is that's the French term for all the pebbles that line the big pebbles that line the river and make the soil here like really really exciting, really able to grow quality grapes. So this wine was sourced from Last Bottle Wines during one of their marathons. $12 was the freight. Look at that. Nice dark wine. This is supposed to be a bigger example of a Costières de Nîmes wine, but let's see. Let's see if that's true. Oh, wow. So this has a Grand Cru Beaujolais vibe to it. So I'm getting really gorgeous red cherries. Like a freshness there that is so gorgeous. Sometimes these wines have like smoky bacon and chocolate dipped fruit and in a baked kind of fruit note, but this is very much red cherry. So this is not a big version of Costières de Nîmes. This is one of the most gorgeous noses I have smelled in a long time. I'm getting a little bit of almost like a mint vibe. So we got some real cherries, a little bit of floral note, some mint, and that cherries is coming in with a little bit of licorice, a little bit of like a Twizzler type stuff. I might even argue for a little cinnamon. Let's give it a little taste. That minty note's coming in. I'm getting a little menthol vibe. Red fruit for days. Wow. So like I said, this has a Grand Cru Beaujolais vibe, but as on the palate, it comes across a little darker, more blackberries, black cherries, as opposed to the pure red fruit that I was getting on the palate. That minty menthol note, subtle, but very present. The finish, we didn't talk about the length here, but the finish is super long for like a $12 bottle of wine. I'm actually super impressed right now with this wine. It makes sense that it has a lot of red fruit because it's 70% Grenache. This is pretty. I don't know. I don't know if you happen to see this on a shelf, you must buy it. If I see it on a shelf, I'm going to buy multiple bottles. Get out there and try some Costières de Nîmes wines. You won't be disappointed. It might be your new favorite red. Certainly your new favorite red blend, right? Stop drinking that 19 Crimes garbage. Get out there and try some wine from the Southern Rhône. Hey, if you'd like more wine videos, wine knowledge, how to find values, and how to stock your cellar at home, then hit that subscribe button. It really would mean a lot to me, and we'd love to have you aboard. This is beautiful.